Welcome to the Dex, where we cover trivia and strategy for different Pokemon each week. Isn't that a cool idea? You know what? You should go tell your friends about us. I'm PokeKellz.
And I'm Garson Alex. I just ate my car's tires.
What? That was my ride home. I'm sorry, and did you say you ate them?
I did, but I was just kidding. Could you imagine? A person can't eat tires? That's impossible.
But I know a Pokemon who can!
He's purple!
He's round!
He looks like a gross old jujube!
Guess? It's Swalot!
He totally does.
Never had a jujube, I don't know.
Gross old people candies. Swalot is weird, my dudes. He's that weird purple mound with the diamonds on his body and the yellow butler mustache who evolves from Gulpin in Gen 3. It blows my mind that actually describes anything, much less a Pokemon.
Yeah, and for someone whose name is a portmanteau of swallow and a lot, he sure does live up to the hype. This guy eats pretty much anything as long as he can fit it into his mouth. Seriously, he's 5 feet tall and can open his mouth wide enough to fit a whole tire in there. How is that even? What is that even? How?
He's also poisonous, and whenever it sees prey, it sprays it with toxic, corrosive juice to soften it up before swallowing it whole. Gross!
And yeah, apparently once he swallows something, he can digest it no matter what it is. I could try to express to you how crazy that is with words, but instead I'm going to make an emoji with my face.
Okay, but then wait a second.
What's up, dude?
If he can digest anything that he swallows, why doesn't he just slowly get eaten up by his own stomach acid?
Gross, man.
Right? But I gotta learn, damn it! Curse my curious mind!
Okay, slow down, Vincent Price. People ask this question about humans all the time too, and the answer is actually pretty interesting. Let's take a closer look at this in this week's ridiculous segment, Pokemon and You.
So the acid in question that chills out inside your stomach is called gastric acid, but what's so special about it exactly? Well, let me tell you about a sweet little thing called the pH scale, which helps us determine how basic or acidic a solution actually is.
Basically, no pun intended, the closer something is on the scale to a 7, the more balanced a solution it is. High numbers are basic, like dish soap, and low numbers are acidic, like soda pop. Introduce an acid to a base and they neutralize each other and become harmless, like when your friend gets his first real girlfriend and just totally disappears off the face of the earth. I miss you, Tony.
In people, gastric acid sits on the scale at about 1.5, putting it somewhere between lemon juice and battery acid, thanks to its mixture of sodium chloride, potassium chloride, and the main man himself, hydrochloric acid.
In industrial applications, hydrochloric acid is commonly used for pickling steel, a process that dissolves rust and iron oxide scale right off the metal. And if that's not impressive enough, you gotta keep an eye on it because it might just eat through the steel as well. Immune to poison my butt, Ferrothorn.
Yeah, and remember, our body actually makes the stuff. So what gives? In any other part of the body, we'd be goo, but our bodies save the day because not only do our cells lining our stomach produce the acid, but another layer produces a base called bicarbonate that totally neutralizes our hydrochloric acid. And that's how we manage to turn this into brown sludge.
And what does this all have to do with Sir Swalot? Easy, you doodles, he's a giant walking stomach. Don't believe me? Gulpin's species name is literally the stomach Pokemon, and Swalot's is the poison bag Pokemon, which, knowing what we know, seems pretty appropriate, right? What am I saying? Of course it does!
Whoa, that makes Swalot way more gross.
Tell me about it.
I would, but it'll have to wait, because now it's time to take a look at some odds from Gen 6 Swalot battle strats!
I walk into it every time.
Swalot's fairly bulky and his pure poison typing minimizes his weaknesses, but add an assault vest and you've got a pretty hefty special wall on your hands. Start with the quiet one and super train it in HP, special attack, and a little bit of special defense.
Swalot's ability, Sticky Hold, helps him hold onto his vest through a knockoff, and access to Giga Drain helps make sure that he can sit there and take a beating for a while before going down.
Use those free turns to deal out as much stab sludge bomb damage as possible, swapping in Giga Drains and Ice Beams is necessary to keep your opponent on their toes.
And yet, even then, certain steel types will be able to cause you some pretty big problems, so it's a good thing we went quiet over modest to leave a little physical attack power for Earthquake every now and again. In the right hands, he can really be a terror.
Of course, that's not the only way to train a Swalot, so as always, here are a few random thoughts.
If you're more worried about enemy support Pokemon than getting walled by steel types, go modest and swap Earthquake for something like Acid Spray or Encore to take care of common setup moves.
Or if you want an open item slot, swap in Pain Split for Giga Drain. It'll get you more annoying recovery, especially against Pokemon that resist grass, and frees you up for another great hold item instead of the Assault Vest, like Black Sludge.
Speaking of other words for poison, sometimes going with Liquid Ooze instead of Sticky Hold can help you with Leech Seed, Drain Punch, and even enemy Giga Drain users. Gotcha! You thought you were gonna heal, but instead you got knocked out!
And finally, if you're on Pokemon Showdown, try out using the Custap Berry with Destiny Bond. It's the perfect thing for faking out super tough opponents your team might otherwise get creamed by.
And that's it, Swalot, the big purple stomach that starts eating you before you're even in its mouth. Gross.
Click here for more Poison-type Pokemon, or here for more Pokemon from Gen 3. And hey, if you haven't already, it's time to go ahead and click subscribe. Take the leap.
And to look good while you leap, click the link in the description below to check out the shirts we have on the Yeti.com/thedex. Look how awesome they are. Doesn't your Pokemon Club need new uniforms? Buy a bunch of Victini shirts.
I'm Garson Alex.
And I'm PokeKellz. Tune in next week for another Ascendant episode of
The Dex.